Welcome back to the LEC studios. Maybe you expected a clean sweep, but you will not get it today. At least 4 games on the table, potentially looking to go to 5. If you are a Mad Lions fan, can they bring it back for Silver Scrapes is the #1 question on our mind. And how do Rogue adjust after their first loss in the series?
Armut seems to think it's going to 5 games. Sorry, you saw him at the end there. He was like this. They're going to reverse sweep it, but Rogue are the ones who need to change something up. They've chosen blue side. I think Orianna Pryor was through the roof in this series, and I'm looking at jungle mid for the majority of this game.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the question remains, like, after Mad Lions left open Tristana in that past game, they valued the Orianna more highly. Do they go for the inverse of that trade? That's something they were happy to do when it was Orianna versus Victor. It wasn't enough for them to net a win here, but yes, that Orianna has looked so strong.
Yeah, and I think mid-jungle is where the priority picks are, but where the power is, I feel like, is either in the bot or the top lane, right? You saw the trade-off, essentially, in the last game, where it was Armut on the Wukong versus Handsama and Larson on these AD carries. In the end, the team fights were split up. Rogue couldn't find the fights with Odoamne and Trimby being on the same page and protecting their carries, and Mad Lions are sending up to game 4 now.
Yeah, and I think ultimately when Rogue go for a comp like that with double enchanters, only one real form of hard engage with the Hecarim, it's very hard for them to choose the fights and fight on their own terms. They have to sort of welcome Mad Lions into them and then try to kite it out, which worked when they were diving towers, when Mad Lions were going underneath mid tower, but not in those later dragon fights. So I think more power, more agency in terms of the engage will be critical.
And I think if there's anything that we've learned across the 7 games that these two teams have played across playoffs, that early game leads are not enough. Team fight power is what matters when these two go toe-to-toe. Let's get into game 4, picks and bans. That's the tension I'm talking about.
I love it too.
Forget, I mean, I'm back to Mega Man vibes. That was a hard boss. Rogue might be an even harder boss. We'll see what Mad Lions can do.
Look, I love seeing it as well. A little bit of pre-game banter in the game chat beforehand. Already eyes on that Wukong for Armut. A little bit of back and forth between these two teams as the budding rivalry continues to grow.
Yeah, and the differences I think we'll see here is Rogue. Obviously, they're on blue side now. I think this 3 winning lanes and farming jungle thing, it works in the early game, but if the second one lane makes a mistake, they fall far behind. The Karma can no longer contest top. The Tristana can no longer step up mid without flash. And when the Caitlyn's behind in lane, it's so difficult. In this case, the Caitlyn was ahead, but you saw the fights. If they don't have control, they don't have anything.
I'm completely with you, and we've seen Rogue also get 3 winning lanes without Karma and Morgana on the bot side of the map. We've seen them do it with Rel. We've seen them do it with other picks in the top side as well. So Rogue need to take a step back, it feels like, and go back for the strong fight.
And I like that we are finally seeing an Orianna ban. There are, of course, so many high-priority champions that need to be respected, but Orianna has been so impactful across every single game in this series.
Yeah, she was picked all 3 games. It was Orianna Victor, and then the Orianna Tristana. So we'll have to see what Rogue ban away here, because Lucian and Tristana are up, and Larson is a big fan of both.
Yeah, I mean, also the Rel that Mad Lions have been banning out the last 2 games after Trimby piloted that one to a victory in game number 1. Rogue surprisingly targeting Carzzy, and a big factor in the last draft for the Mad Lions was getting comfort, getting confidence for all of their players. Carzzy's, Ezreal, Armut's, Wukong, of course, still untouched, unnoticed, and Rogue have to have been spending the last 15 minutes figuring out an answer into it.
I think Rogue perhaps struggled in punishing the Ezreal with the Caitlyn. It might be very difficult for the Varus as well, especially, so just taking that off the board means that you don't have to worry about it in game 4, and if it popped off in game 4 and we went to game 5, then they start having to put resource into it. So I like the instant adaptation. We'll have to see what they first pick, because both Lucian, Tristana, Lilia, Hecarim, everything's open.
Everything is open, but important to note, I think a lot of the target focus on Carzzy makes sense when you know that he's been a monster in playoffs, but has been struggling in this series. The Senna game, eventually he got there. Question is, what can he do now that the Ezreal, the Jinx have been taken away? What is next on the priority list? Because already Rogue coming out strong with the Lucian first pick.
I think a smart thing here could be Tristana Lilia, design the AP jungle with the Lucian and take away the Tristana flex on red side. That could be a really strong 1-2 for the side of Mad Lions here. Rel being down, maybe you want to focus jungle instead and go for something like the Hecarim, but you'd have to pick that on. That's a twisted fate, though.
That's huge confidence, because remember, yesterday, Larson demolished Caps in the mid lane on this pick. So Humanoid going, I can do better, is big confidence heading into
Humanoid
game 4.
has been feeling himself all day long, especially in the 1v1. You have to have confidence to leave Lucian open in this meta. And Rogue, we'll see what Inspired goes for, because the Lilia is open. We also saw him on the Nidalee yesterday. course, Nidalee has a little bit more individual agency when it comes to really finding picks, getting aggressive with it, but Lilia has that scaling element.
Now this is the first time where I wonder, does the team with Lucian pick Tristana as well and just put Tristana bot and have both of the strongest AD carries and then go for an AP jungle? I would be surprised to see them do that because you're relying a lot on the AD damage, but it's still a very strong champ in the bot side, and given that they've picked their mid jungle, you can ban out champions, but no, looks like they're going to run back the Varus, and I'm looking at jungle now. Do they just pick up the Hecarim again for Inspired? I think that would make a lot of sense alongside the Varus, unless they want to pick a defensive champion to the TF. Thresh is down, maybe Tahm Kench could be good.
Well, ideally, some magic damage as well for this team is likely what you'd think from the jungler. Odoamne does play some AP tops. We've seen the Karma today. We've seen the Kennen before in the past. We'll see what Rogue end up going that direction. For the side of Mad Lions too, you often look at, Twisted Fate, Udyr, very strong skirmishing elements as the Lilia does get locked in. Armut, is he back on the Wukong? You need some heavy dive. It feels like with the Twisted Fate, when it comes to later game team fights, if you're trying to port onto a Lucian or a Varus in the backline.
Yeah, definitely all eyes on Armut and what he picks on this red side. He has the last pick, but I think Mad Lions need to pick their AD carry here. We saw Kazi go to 4-5 earlier on with things like the Jhin. It didn't look like it was working so well. Already the Ezreal and the Jinx banned away, but it looks like they're going to go for Alistar. I mean, Kazi has a few things up. He's got the Senna, he's got the Kalista, he's got the Kai'Sa, so there's a couple things available for him.
And with the Rel already banned away, they already know that Trimby's reliable counter pick of stopping that QW combo, stopping the Headbutt Pulverize with the Rel E is not going to be there. Now they're banning away the Tahm Kench too. Maybe we see a Gragas follow-up to stop the other premier counter to this Alistar, which would give Kaiser free reign over the map to try to find impact in the laning phase.
It is a little bit surprising seeing that Alistar come in before something like an AD carry for Carzzy. It hasn't been pinched by Rogue in the second phase of bans, even with other support bans coming on through. Tahm Kench does get banned away there from Trimby.
I suppose they just want the follow-up when they go towards the bot side. They want the Alistar follow-up, and actually this makes a lot of sense because Tristana's open, so they have to invest a third ban, meaning that Mad Lions will either get Kalista, Kai'Sa, or Tristana, right? They had 3 options available. Pick the support, ban away the Tahm Kench, which I expected Rogue to pick on 3 because the enemy team has TF, which means Varus has little options when the TF comes towards the bot side. You're against an Alistar. Gragas is the only real one I can think of to cancel the engage, but there's not that much peel left for hands if TF does come towards the bot side.
Look, now Mad Lions, they've got strong early game jungler, they've got a mid laner that wants to get out of lane and roam. Humanoid's been doing that all series long, even on the Orianna. And the Alistar for the setup, the turret diving post level 6 as well. It can be very, very powerful. One of the biggest strengths of Mad Lions this series, I felt like, has been using globals, has been using TPs to force fights with a numbers advantage. I think they have some of the good options here to play into that style once again.
And I think a really good pick here for Mad Lions could be something like the Nocturne top. I feel like Rogue have such squishy targets to look for, and
Rogue
the Nocturne
agree.
gets banned away.
Rogue
I
agree with you, Cadril.
I think if you're playing this Lucian Varus Lilia, something like the Nocturne with TF could be
For
deadly.
sure.
It could be lights out from the Nocturnal. TF finds a flank, the engage comes in. Good ban by Rogue.
But I mean, it also seems like a Wukong would be really fearsome to face down too. Sure, maybe you have a Varus ult to try and keep him locked down, but the immediate CC is not quite there yet for Rogue.
Yeah, and there's something I just want to highlight here quickly, because Rogue had the option of banning out Kalista, Tristana, and the Kai'Sa, and they knew that once they banned the Tristana, Mad Lions' plan came into their mind, and they're like, well, if we ban Kai'Sa, they get Kalista anyway, so we may as well invest a top lane ban.
But the big thing is now with this Kai'Sa is that unlike a lot of the other AD carries we've seen, with a TF there, with an Udyr, with an Alistar, with potentially a Wukong as the final pick, Kai'Sa has so much backline access. If she gets ahead, if she can find an isolated target with support from the team, very easy. That said, early game is going to be miserable for Carzzy.
Yeah, it definitely is here. Now with Dinar getting locked in, again, the instantaneous, reliable CC is not quite there. And Mad Lions, with the Twist Fate, have a lot of tools to force fights. We're looking at a Wukong and Aatrox, another backline dive here, I feel like almost certainly for Armut.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Armut goes for, but it looks like Rogue needs to pick up their support. Something like the Braum makes a lot of sense into the Alistar and the TF. You can block the stun card, and it works well with the Varus. The Leona also works. Any engage kind of melee support that can block for the Varus makes a lot of sense. The Braum, to me, does make the most, because against TF Alistar, it stops the majority of the engage, stops the majority of the damage. But like you said, Ender, what are we going to see on the last pick here? We have a Kai'Sa Alistar, so there's already dive coming in. There's a TF ult as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see even more dive come out from Armut.
Wait, it could be a Malphite, honestly.
It could be Malphite, unless he wants to go for something like the Jace, but Malphite could work really well in this comp, especially with the amount of engage they have. They have a lot of losing lanes, though, so it could be really tough in the early stages. We'll have to see what he goes for.
Oh, they're going to send him back to comfort, almost certainly. A Malphite could have worked here, but Armut's Wukong is what worked for the Mad Lions in Game 3.
And outside of the Gnar passive proc and the Lilia, you are looking at almost exclusively physical damage from the side of Rogue, so Armut going to get more than a lot of value out of that passive, can go back into the Stride Breaker, into Randuin's itemization that we saw previously. He is, again, set up for success. The question is, can he weather the storm of Odoamne now on a Gnar instead of a Karma.
Yeah, I think the difference here for Mad Lions, for Rogue especially, is the enemy team has a Wukong, but they don't have an Orianna. The Cyclone and the Shockwave is such a deadly combo that they had to be so careful in these fights. The Orianna being taken away. Now they have a TF, which is more of a supportive champion with the Rapid Fire and the Everfrost. It's all on Carzzy and Armwood. The Humanoid's almost taking like a step back in this game, letting his side laners look for the damage in fights. He's the supportive champion, but Rogue's adaptation, I think it's very strong. Just the lack of AP makes it quite difficult.
Exactly, it's about setting them up here too. Humanoid went top lane so many times that last game to get Armwood those early kills, to set him up to be the backline destroyer that he was on his signature Wukong. And once again, it's a similar look for Mad.
And across the board, I mean, a lot of pressure again onto the side of Mad Lions. Again, they have put faith in Ormut and this Wukong to carry them home. Elyoya, early prio, early pressure. Let's see what the Udyr can get done on the opposite side. Rogue, again, a ton of power, but definitely not ease of execution going to be on their side. It's time to find out what is going to happen between these two teams. Can Rogue close it out 3-1? Can Mad Lions bring it back for Silver Scrapes?
We'll have to see what happens though, because I think Rogue can look for a level 1. They have Lily of Varus Brown, and we're going to get straight into game.
And as we get onto the Rift, a brief break again from our slightly comedic transition music.
And like I said before the music came in, they have the level 1. They have Lily of Varus Brown. They're so strong. They have a Gnar and Illusion as well. Kaiser needs to be careful. Looks like they're contesting the bush. I think he should be okay though.
He's going to need to flash up pretty quick. For now, staying calm. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is not going to let the fourth auto hit. Good timing on the flash. Waited till the last possible second.
Yeah, I mean, the Lucian Braum, it used to be a bot lane combo known for turbo stacking that passive and CCing you up. And Larson, so often you take the E at level 1, especially in this matchup, to dash on forward and get the double shot. Very good trades, and it's used there to burn the flash on Kaiser.
This looks like it might be a split map. Rogue are backing away a little bit, but Mad Lions have full topside control. Look at the wards they've used. Rogue haven't used a single one yet. Mad Lions have used 3. 2 in the bot side, 1 in the top side. But Rogue have to kind of walk in here. Looks like they're trying to spot out Elyoya, but if Inspired on this ward starts Raptors, Elyoya could take his topside camps for free, and Inspired might think Elyoya's on red.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that Rogue can really do, because you could send Odwamne to sort of face check into the top side, and that's actually what he's going to do now. He's trying to wait as long as possible, guessing that Armut goes back towards top lane. So this is a very smart play from Odwamne to see this out. Now he just has to walk it out, and it opens up an invade counter for Inspired.
Yeah, important information there for Rogue, because now they know Elyoya starting on his camps. Inspired's going to go to the enemy blue, and in the end, what we expected did happen eventually, regardless of the path we took. It's going to be a split map towards the bot side. Kaiser no flash as well, so diving bot could be something that Mad Lions want to look, that Rogue want to look for, but they have to be careful with Mad Lions as TPs.
Yeah, there is a bit of an ebb and flow when it comes to this early pressure, because so often the junglers are informed of what they can do by the mid laners, and this series has been dominated by Humanoid's early presence in mid, yet this time with the Lucian, Larson has full control from level 1. That won't change for a long, long time, and that allows Inspired to take more aggressive plays.
And that's the important resource on the split map, because when the map's split, you expect either side with the jungler roam to have the push, which is natural, but having mid push gives you that advantage, because he can either lean into the lane without the push to make them back off, or go towards the bot side of the map in this case and look for the dives on the pushing lane.
Fade coming in. Elyoya going to move forward back into his own territory on his own side of the map. For now, it is that split map that you both talked about. But I have to highlight, this series has been a story of strong early games from one team, incredible comebacks from the other side, and across the board, one of the closest series I've seen in a long time. If you take a look at the close percentage, the time where the gold was neck and neck, 58.2 game 1, 68.7, 70.3. It is getting closer and closer in every game this series, but Rogue will pull out with an early lead if Inspired can find this game.
I mean, it's just been complete madness, and it's not going to stop yet. It does, as Inspired calls off the play, but it's using that early pressure. We're all jamming out here. Down on the bottom side of the map, and Rogue gonna cat jam their way back to the river.
They are indeed, and Kaiser had no flash, so he was an easy target, and not only that, but he had phase rush as well, so no aftershock in case Rogue wanted to target him. A little bit of a Pepe Jam dive there, they decide to opt out of it, and Rogue keep the split map going.
At the end of the day, Elyoya, see if he can get anything done. On the top side of the map for now, it is the race for camps. It is just going to be 2 Scuttle Clubs traded back, of course. There's the luxury from the side of Inspired to move back. Is Kaiser going to Hex Flash forward? Hansama could now be in trouble, but the turn and burn for the Braum is going to be massive. 2, 3, 4 stacks. It might not matter though, because Odoamne is on the top side, but he's going to double hop back out to safety. First blood for Mad, but an instant response from the side of Rogue. That's one, maybe Fish for a second, but they will back away.
Why is Kaiser engaging there? His top jungle's communicating about diving top probably, and he's engaging on the bot side. Maybe he was trying to stop Rogue from looking for TPs, perhaps trying to make them look towards the bot side and do a little bit of a switcheroo, but in the end it's a 1-for-1 on the split map. It's just a trade of kills. I think Kaiser could have just lived there and Mad Lions would get first blood for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate there too, because Mad Lions' entire game plan was sort of sack the bot side. You know that Rogue have the strong level 1, the map gets split, so you play towards top side, and well, that's what we saw them do, getting that kill, and Kaiser just Hex Flashing on a ward. Inspired is just in the river for Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, maybe he thought Inspired was already in base or something like this, but still, it's really early. I mean, Inspired, Elyoya hasn't even done the top side crab, so he should know that Inspired should probably still be around here. Good execution from Mad Lions on the top side, poor execution on the bot side.
Yeah, big mistake. You cannot afford to get over-aggressive onto a Braum. He punishes so incredibly well, and for Kaiser and Carzzy, they have been an inconsistent bot duo. We kind of cut that part out of their story because they have been so consistently good in playoffs, but here in this game when the pressure is on the most, those little fumbles cost you so much.
Yeah, and you've seen it throughout the whole series. Game 1, Rogue get a 2v2 kill. Game 2, they dive them 2v2 with the Senna lane and they get an advantage. Game 3, the Caitlyn lane into the Ezreal. It was all about Armut. Carzzy couldn't really have any impact. And now in this game, Mad Lions dying again in the sort of 2v2. Yes, Inspired was around, but I think Kaiser without the flash was probably getting taken down there regardless.
And I think the big thing is, the good news is, even though the bot lane fumbled a bit, they're not out of it yet. And more importantly, already their top lane are off to a good start. Again, Orma is Wukong. So incredibly clutch in the previous game, and every time he plays is 4-0 on the champ.
Look, it doesn't matter if Hansama gets early kills, if Armut has the damage to jump into the backline and have free reign there. And well, Odoamne will be in trouble too, because that was just one player coming up for the gank for the dive with Elyoya. Humanoid should be hitting level 6 soon. I will say, importantly, both mid laners have held onto their TP, and that can be critical, especially for Larssen. Make sure he could follow up any roams.
Yeah, definitely. And just to talk about this Wukong, I feel like Armut has a lot to work with. He has Carzzy on the Kai'Sa ultimate that can dive in with the Killer Instinct. Humanoid can ultimate behind with the Rapid Fire to look for stuns. So, and then Kaiser can flash in on the Alistar. So they have a lot to work with in terms of the Wukong if they play around it properly. As Elyoya is looking for some kind of invade on the top side, respawn of Inspired, will get spotted out.
Larssen already on the move too, so it's hard for Elyoya to stick around.
Yeah, but I think the key thing here now is the Twisted Fate is level 6. So regardless of where Larssen goes, Humanoid's going to follow.
Pressure now on Humanoid with this level 6 to maybe try to find an early game play. You can even see that he's opted for the minion dematerializer just to match some of the pressure. But Elyoya just here to make sure even more that his mid laner can get out of that lane and move if he needs to. Maybe just a quick recall though. Humanoid not too many items under his belt quite yet, but for now, focus on the bottom side. You can immediately see the back pings. Hansama and Trimby know that they're in trouble, but they're sticking around anyway. It looks like Dragon instead is going to be the call.
Yeah, it's interesting. Roger pinging out the Raptor camp thinking maybe he's there for the respawn. Larssen will use the culling, but no mana, so difficult to follow up off of that trade. Does get a little bit back there actually, so Humanoid does have to cut him some respect. Now Armut level 6, maybe has an angle into mid.
Yeah, Larssen low on the mana. He does have enough for the dash though, so looks like Armut's just going to look for the crab. Elyoya's on the bot side, maybe he can solo it out. Is a bit risky though, because his top wave's crashing on a tower, so wasting all that time on crab is not worth losing an entire top wave. Decides to go back up there. And this game is looking a lot slower than the other ones. No real team has a huge advantage here. The Dragon's still up, the Herald's up in a minute. Looks like Rogue have a pushing mid-bot side, but overall, Mad Lions are sort of going even in these lanes, not losing too much. Humanoid still has a TP in mid, he's even in CS. The bot side, despite being a split map on and dying 2v2, only down around 7 or 8 CS as well, so not the worst early game for either team.
And last game, Rogue had the momentum. They could go in with full confidence because they had won both previous games. This game, it's a different story. For Mad, they have to slow down a little bit because they're still on match point on the opposite side. They still lose this and they lose everything. But for Rogue, they can take their time. They are up a game. They need to play with confidence here and find it. So it makes sense that we are seeing a more slow, more controlled, patient games. Although Inspired is going to be in trouble. The flash forward from Kaiser. Immediately the Bog's looking for the punt back, but he can't quite find it. The auto attack stun is going to land. Elyoya now running away. There's not quite enough movement speed here though. Humanoid does pop the ultimate, but they don't want to fully commit. Armut on the way down, but there's the ulti in. Gold card comes out. Hansama is going to be locked up. The block from Trimby is clutch, however, denying the engage. Mad have to walk away empty-handed.
Yeah, Mad Lions are really trying to force a kill onto Inspired. His flash was just about to come up. Oh, Armut!
The flash, the immediate ult. Hansama now in trouble. That's going to be the second ult. Pockets the room. Look at the damage coming out from Armut. Indeed, Cadril, quick kill picked up by Mad.
There are about 20 people in the top lane, but it's a solo kill for Armut, showing up so clutch. He was critical in Mad Lions winning Game 3. And once again, on the big stage, he shows up. The man has won 2 TCL championships at Worlds last year, also stepped up in critical moments for the 1v 1v2, 1v3 outplays, and now Mad Lions, he is their second hope next to Humanoid to turn this series around.
You could see Carzzy laughing on the camera. He knows his top laner is smurfing, solo kills the NMAD, gets 3 plates in top, and all this time Carzzy's just farming in bot. His top lane is carrying the game, and I think the first engage from Mad Lions was very disjointed. Kaiser flashes in. I think he was expecting Humanoid to ult in already, but then by the time he's engaged, now Humanoid's popped the ult, and now Elyoya already has to back off because he's against Varus Braum, and then all of a sudden Humanoid ults back into the fight because he doesn't want to waste it, and then Trimby blocks it away. So good Braum pick, just stops the engage from Mad Lions, but then Armwood coming around the side finds Hans, and Hans had both sums up.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a play that Mad Lions tried and used to such great success last week in the series that qualified them for this against G2, using the Twisted Fate from mid lane and Elyoya aggressively invading the jungle to find picks on the enemy jungler, and while they didn't convert onto Inspired, Hansama trying to scramble his way to top lane for the minions, Armwood saw that angle.
Yeah, such a clean mechanical execution from Armwood with the Cyclone, with the clone to get the double Q off. In the end, Rogue get the Herald, they get the swap that they wanted. Yes, Carzzy's even with bot side, and he's a level up, but Rogue have pressure in top now.
Yes, they do. Herald up and available. Will they use it here? Kaiser in the area to potentially try to start a fight. Armut, though, still 10, 15, maybe even 20 seconds out on the ultimate. It is slowly but surely ticking down that cooldown, and Elyoya already ready to make the cross map as Carzzy starts to push forward, and Odoamne still quite squishy on this dive. Only Ninja Tabby to his names, but with Mega there, I can't imagine they go for the risk here. It would be very brave to try to dive the Mega Gnar.
Let's see what they do though. Humanoid's here. It's a 3v1. He only has plated steel caps.
Odoamne is going to go for the Gnar back in the tower, but Carzzy's taking tower aggro. The immediate shift back over. It's a clean dive from the Mad Lions. They give up nothing for that kill.
Oh, it's so nicely played there. Carzzy staying out of range to burn so much damage onto Odo, then forcing him to only ult one target. Rogue do have a counterplay using the Herald towards the top side of the map, but Mad Lions all day long have found ways to consistently attack Odo.
And Armut's ult is back up and available. Sorry, Kadron, I'm pumped for it. I see the Wukong.
Yeah, they have
I
the
see the potential.
Yeah, they can look for the engage, but in the end, it's a good kill for Mad Lions, but Odoamne, a little disrespect there. He saw him coming down on the entrance.
He's going to sleep.
No flash.
TP gonna get finished. That's the calling, and Elyoya just gets popped.
Yeah. Big mistake there from Elyoya. Gives a kill over to Larson, who's already 20 CS up. You can see 300 gold up on the Twisted Fate. Has a red buff now, a level up. This is not where you want the resources to go if you're Mad Lions, because Larson was 0-0-0 before this, obviously, and now giving a kill to him opens up Rogue's map a lot more because he has red buff. That means he can pressure mid even harder than he was before.
Yeah, that Lucian, quite the force to be reckoned with already is Larson, and, well, Rogue, it's a good angle for them to find that fight because you have to consider Humanoid's ultimate returning back up. There's a Drake on the cards too. Inspired, though, low HP, low mana. Don't know if he wants to necessarily go all in over this, but you can see with Mad Lions playing towards the top side of the map and a whole lot of Rogue players down bot side after the crab, it may be possible.
And while Rogue are finding strikes back into this game, as we see a bit of trading here in the mid lane, I'm just going to complicate this a bit for Humanoid. I don't think we're going to see the overextend here, though. Larson doesn't want to risk the tower dive. It is still Mad Lions with about 1,000 gold in their favor. Herald already down, though, means it's going to be hard to snowball that further, at least for the next few minutes, unless Humanoid can make a play out onto these side lanes.
And for Rogue to contain Humanoid, it pretty much is Larson's job to take very aggressive trades in mid, keep it volatile so that Humanoid never really has full HP, full mana. He's constantly going to be pressured underneath the turret, but it comes at the risk of stepping forward, going for these aggressive trades, and in that, Rogue have to have very good vision control around mid. He has to pick his moments correctly, and so far, they've done a good job, but once again, we're in the bot lane.
Kaiser immediately pulling the trigger. Carzzy with the immediate follow-up. That is the power of the Kai'Sa. Elyoya there to finish the job. Kaiser walks away, totally unscathed. That ulti paying off.
Such a clean play from Mad Lions. They don't even have a wave. Kaiser flashes in, good decision-making. Odoamne, it's almost like a skill check, right? If you flash my combo, you're gonna live, but if you don't, you're going down. The Alistar tanking up the tower, level 6 with that ultimate, doesn't even need a wave.
And you don't even need a Twisted Fate to go for these dives. They've been doing it over and over without that global assistance because there's just so much agency on these individual champions. You take any 2, any 3 players on this Mad Lions team, well, they've all got such strength in the skirmish that it's hard to find the match from Rogue.
Yeah, in the end, Rogue get the top tower, though, which is what they wanted from around 7 or 8 minutes in the game when they lane swapped hands up here despite dying in between towers. Their objective has always been this top side tower. So Mad Lions picking up the first Drake. I don't think there'll be a soul till around 27 to 30 minutes because that's a very late dragon. I think the majority of this series we've seen a very early dragon, which has dictated a lot of dragon fights, which means these teams can opt out of fights because the game will go longer.
Yeah, and even with 3 deaths already picked up by Odoamne, still winning out pretty convincingly in the CS, so not that far behind. 800 gold for him, and overall these two teams still closely matched.
And it's crazy that he has been able to continue to build that lead. Of course, left in a solo lane farming against Carzzy while both teams ran across the map looking for these plays. Armut needs to find a lane that he can sit comfortably in for now. That is top lane. We'll see what the next play on the cards is going to be for both sides. 4 minutes to the cloud means there's really no massive objectives for either side at this point in the game.
Yeah, I think Mad Lions want to keep focusing towards his bot side. Humanoids had this Twisted Fate ultimate for quite a while, so he can get to bot side or top side if a fight kicks off, but Armut's kind of suffered from this lane swap. He was against the Varus Braum, he had to give up a lot of creeps, and although Odoamne is up in CS, he did get dove a lot, so Armut obviously respecting the bot lane being his lane, whereas Odoamne tries to clear out the waves and tries to contest it. And yes, he dies, but he gets CS for himself, so he's not too far behind from Armut on this Wukong with 2 kills.
Yeah, if you try to compare sort of like gold, where it's all going on these individual players, Armut's still very much high up there. I think 3rd in the game behind Carzzy and Hansama. Hansama holds so much of that, but even if Hansama has the larger wallet in the 1v1 and Armut is diving into the backline, we've already seen how that can pan out, so Rogue needs to be on top of things. Trimby has to be able to protect him.
You can see Rogue trying to figure out their lane assignment. Larson was mid, then he moved bot, and now their bot lane's towards bot, but now they have no mid push, so it looks a bit all over the place for Rogue. They want to defend this bot tier 1, but Mad Lions do a switcheroo. They're going top side instead. Looks like Odoamne might get dove here. Kill
Not again!
Only level 10. He's just not strong enough to survive. He doesn't have the wave clear to survive. He'd have to leap in and fight the wave. He's not taking the risk. It hasn't worked for him 3 times. He's not going to die the 4th.
And this is where Rogue have to figure out what is their counter attack, but it's actually Mad Lions on the aggressive. They've got 4 members trying to crunch down on mid with this pincer move. Trimby did see it the whole time, though.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Mad Lions had the play in top and bot, and they had still push in mid, so they had push in all 3 lanes. They found a play 1,000 gold up. It does mean that they'll have to go back to his bot side and catch the wave. The Hans pushed in, though.
Oh, Armut was mass pinging a ward down in that bottom lane. He has TP off of the reset and is potentially looking for some sort of TP flank. Does look like it's a control ward that Hansama is going to clear away. This is critical because that very well could have been the death of the Rogue bot lane.
Yeah, Rogue spotted out. Now, the majority of the times there's a normal ward behind there and you sweep it out. But having a pink in the alcove is a very different way of approaching the TP. Obviously, when you TP on a ward, you can't actually see it unless your camera's there. But if you TP on a pink, you can see it on the minimap as well. So it just means that it's harder for Rogue to spot out the fact that the ward's there, because if they try and sweep out the brushes, it means that it's in the alcove actually, and then the TP comes in.
Yep. Good that they deny it in the end, though. 1 play less for Armut to try to find on the map. Level 10 for both top laners. Level 11 going to be big. 2nd rank and ultimate for Armut especially means that an even easier time diving into that backline. Divine Sunder, normally think of it as a bit of an anti-tank item, but in the hands of Armut, it seems to be a bit of an anti-everyone item. So, I mean, something to watch at the end of the day, right? It's not quite an Orianna shockwave, but watching the Wukong E in and spin around is certainly just as effective.
And I think the key thing to look here is the resources that Mad Lions have are on their key members. Carzzy's got a kill, he's up in CS, Armut's got 2 of the kills. These are where your damage dealers are, because if you look at Humanoid's build, he has the defensive items, he has the Shurelias, he's going towards a Rapid Fire, he's probably going to build a Zhonya's after that. He's only there to buy time, help his team give move speed, look for stuns, whereas Armut and Carzzy are the damage dealers, and the resources are spread so perfectly for Mad Lions with this early lead, who are now picking up a Herald.
Yeah, it's definitely stepping back into the more supportive role, setting up for the Mad Lions, and we've seen Mad Lions pick out a lot of good fights, specifically targeting Odoamne. They will be uncontested towards the Herald on the top side of the map, and with 1 minute on the next Drake spawning up, that's a nice objective to have in your pocket.
Yeah, and I feel like Rogue haven't really found what they're playing for yet. The 1 kill on Hans was a mistake from Elyoya overextending, and Larson got the same kind of thing. These kills were just mistakes in the bot side and in the jungle. These are kills being given to them rather than proactive kills that they found. So Rogue, they've been losing top push, they've been losing mid push and bot push. It feels like they don't really know where to put their resources. Yes, scaling for a couple items on your carries is not a bad thing to do, but Mad Lions, you can see their proactivity hovering bot side, then going top side, and they're actually snowballing this game to get themselves advantages.
And the question for Rogue is, how do you play proactively? We look at the composition from the side of Mad, it's easy. There's so much point and click CC, it's free. You can start a fight anywhere you want, anytime that you want. On the side of Rogue, it is certainly harder. Flash out from Larson, respecting the potential for an engage here, but Lucian, no CC. Inspired, no reliable instant CC. Odoamne waiting on a Mega Gnar. It is simply Trimby's ultimate, a very slow ability, and the ultimate coming out from Hansama that could start a fight.
And Larson losing that flash right before the Drake spawns, it may be hard to convince the rest of Rogue to want to look for the fight. Elyoya waiting inside the jungle, and they have Humanoid part in.
Yep. Going for the gold card. Hansama can't immediately ult to try to kick things off. He's got good damage, and Humanoid really has no response. That's going to be the 3-man sleep now coming in. Perfectly timed. That's going to be the follow-up. The knockup is there. Odoamne in the midst of everyone. Stridebreaker used. My God, Mad are just getting torn to pieces. Mad can start the fight, but they cannot finish it.
Mad dove in so deep there, and who was not with them? Armut had TP, did not decide to go in for the fight, yet Mad Lions still waiting in the brush. Do they want it?
Trimby going to be taken down. Elyoya now zooming out to safety, but it's Carzzy who's going to be in trouble. Hyperproc is there. Big damage coming over the wall. Eyes on Hansama. He snipes it from downtown. Elyoya now running. Armut, he's about to go Mega, but he doesn't have enough time. Armut finds one. Resets, looks for another ultimate. He's spinning. He's trying to get into melee range, but the flashes come out. It's a triple kill for Elyoya, but that is not where you need the gold if you're on the side of Mad.
These fights are so messy. It looks like Mad Lions want to dive bot. The TF ult comes in, and you might question Humanoid for going so deep, but there was a pink ward there as well. Armut didn't decide the TP. Carzzy wasn't really committing to the play, and in the end, they just end up losing Kaiser and Humanoid at the start of the fight. Really good salvage, though, from Elyoya and Carzzy, managing to pull off this almost 2v5 to get a couple kills, get the mid tower, and stop this dragon from being
K-Droll, I'm not going to pull any punches. The start of that fight was a complete mess by the Mad Lions, but they knew where their power was, and they still found creative ways to win out in the fight, playing in the Fog Fort in the same exact brush they were just in a second ago.
Yeah, and despite Rogue winning the fight, they get mid tower, they get bot tier 1, and the dragon's still up, so Mad Lions, despite losing the fight, going way too deep, they're the ones who came out victorious.
We talked about how important junglers are. Elyoya now 4-1-2. He has a 2-level advantage over Inspired, and you can see how powerful this Udyr is at the end of the fight, but Rogue certainly coming out on top at the start.
Mad Lions did not expect Trimby to be there right at the start, and that's maybe where the hesitation comes from. Also, the triple sleep. Inspired hit Elyoya a mile ago, and then all of a sudden he gets into this end of the fight. 3 people go to sleep. Humanoid has to run for the hills, but he gets cut down. But then Mad Lions kept sitting out. That was the craziness. We may have a TP flank. No ult on Armor just yet, like 5 seconds away.
They can spot it. He's fast, but is he fast enough? Arsene waiting, is just going to pull back. That's a massive cooldown use. Of course, Randuin's is out. Arma very powerful in these fights, but if you can't find a fight, that TP's certainly going to hurt.
Yeah, and Humanoid didn't have the ultimate up just yet, so Mad Lions losing out on the TP, and I think that Larssen not having Cleanse or QSS is really difficult for him against players like Armut and Humanoid who can ult in behind him, TP behind him, and there's really no way to get out the CC.
Elyoya now picking up the Dead Man's Plate. One very, very fast Udyr. And again, I feel like Mad Lions with their composition, with a 3K gold lead and 2 Drakes behind them, they are in absolute and total control of this game. Elyoya about to take over to level 13. Inspired just barely hitting level 11 across the board. They are winning out. Pressure now on the carries of Rogue to find an advantage. Elyoya caught out 1-2. Not going to be able to find any more concussive blow stacks, but fishing for picks like that is really one of the few options Rogue have left right now.
Yeah, it has worked for them in the past, but they have to figure out the real question, which is how do you deal with Armut, especially with that Randuin's, like you mentioned, against the double marksman. So difficult to actually cut him down. The reliable CC, the immediate CC is not quite there either. So again, the dive from Mad Lions, so powerful. There's no TP that Rogue have to deal with, so it's not like that TP flank is always going to be on the card, but Armut has been so good in his pre-fight positioning all series long.
They're going to start a Baron here. They have 3 lanes of push. I think they've dodged around the crab, but Carzzy just got spotted. I think Rogue can stop this Baron from going down.
Trimby has to be careful though, because Kaiser and Armut are waiting. Waiting
stepping in!
Flash forward. Kaiser fishing for Hansama. Immediately, they're just going to take him out. They're going to knock him down. Hans has been clutch across the series, but not in this game. And Armut's already in the backside. Carzzy with the immediate follow-up. Mad Lions are dissecting Rogue. It's a double kill for Humanoid. Inspired looking for the follow, but the ult will do nothing.
Mad Lions completely bait Rogue into trying to stop the Baron. They finally engage. Kaiser already ready to flash over the wall. Humanoid ulting in. Armut's there with the ultimates as well. 3 members of Rogue have fallen. They didn't have any blow-ups to check it just up in time, so they had to walk in. Mad Lions punish them. That's a Baron.
Look, Mad Lions have been using these long-range repositioning tools so well all day long to find these perfect fights. They bait Rogue all the way in. And who's leading the charge? It's Humanoid and Armut one more time. Hansama can't teamfight. He doesn't have the peel tools necessary, especially when Mad Lions split up Rogue like this.
Yeah, Rogue are so split up. Trimby trying to check the Baron, Inspired behind him, hands on the top side, and then look at Armut on the bot side as well. By the time they split up, Armut's just tanky enough to buy enough time for his team to come with the Cyclone, and then like we talked about in draft, Carzzy on this Kaiser can ult in with the Killer Instinct once Armut gets the knockup.
And obviously you see the engage there from Humanoid, and it all looks good to get the pick, but the thing that completely knocks Rogue out of the fight, giving them no chance, is the pre-fight positioning from Armut, being ready for that flank position. Even without a TP, he walked past any ward, nothing saw him.
And the good news for Mad is that last game it was pretty much Arma and Humanoid versus the world. This time around, Carzzy can follow. Carzzy can be there. They banned his Ezreal, they took the Jinx away, it does not matter. He got the Kai'Sa, and he can reposition in every single one of these fights. And Elyoya, he is so damn tanky. Odoamne has to flash away even under his own tier 2 tower.
Yeah, and both these teams fighting for the championship, fighting. There's no G2, there's no Fnatic. One of these teams is going to be a new LEC champion. The fact that Mad Lions is in control of this game and they can still play to a game 5. Kaiser already going on to loss, and you can see the aggression coming out from Mad Lions with this Baron buff.
But the fact that that flash was not used in a team fight, is disaster for Rogue because Kaiser just pulls the trigger on the re-engage. Mad Lions moving in with the Baron. 22 minutes in the game. They are in absolute control. 43K to 37.2. They're going to break open the base, and now they move to the top side.
And we are on pace for Mad Lions potentially win the fastest game all day long with the momentum heading into Game 5 with 2 wins in a row. Rogue
has the Zhonya's, has a follow-up, but 1 in the midst of everybody. It's Kaiser leaping into the backline. Armut, but still Hansama and Larson alive for now. Yo-Yo trying to do what he can, and it's Armut with the follow-up. The divers from the side of Mad are unstoppable. Humanoid there to finish the job. Mad Lions have done it. 23 minutes into the game, and I think they've won. Absolutely no fear in the eyes of the Mad Lions, diving past 5 players, diving past the inhibitor tower. They wanted Hansama. That's what they got, and we're going to Game 5. After Game 3, Armut stood up. He knew 3-2 is what he hovered. The absolute confidence from Mad Lions to turn the series back, to bring us to Game 5. Mad Lions refuse to go down.
Mad Lions were a team that have been doubted in the clutch. You go back to Worlds last year getting eliminated in play-ins. People said on stage they're worse. In high-pressure moments, they are bad, but not today with their backs against the wall, led by Humanoid and Armut. They have won 2 in a row to force a 5th.
And they're playing the champions, which have such big team fight prowess. You saw the Orianna, you see the Wukong, so much like fighting potential with all these AoE spells. They're the ones stepping up, and Humanoid in the first 2 games missing Shockwaves, losing these games to Rogue, which it felt like Mad Lions had almost in their control in a sense. Like Game 2, it felt like they could win, but now they're definitely showing their potential. They're definitely showing why they're stepping up on these champions.
And we learned it the first time these teams played. Team fighting is everything. Mad were the superior team fighting team. We started to question that after Game 1 and 2 after Rogue brought it back. But in Games 3 and 4, they have drafted for the team fight. They have taken the team fight. Now they are taking the early Game 2. And the question for Rogue is, what do you have left? It all comes down to Game 5 between Mad Lions and Rogue, as one of them will become our new champions in the LEC.
Silver Scrapes!
Let's go, baby!
But you know FC Barcelona players eat veggies.
No, they don't.
Hey guys.
That's a sponsor, Dad.
I think it will be a tough one, but we are ready.
What? Come on.
Do you still have those carrots? Of course I do.
Getting them to eat healthy takes a long time. Beko Harvest Fresh preserves vitamins for longer by simulating the natural 24-hour sun cycle. Beko, eat like a pro.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC. A bit of a change of scenery because the moment warrants it. This is what they are fighting for. Not only do we have two teams we've never seen in the final, but we also get a silver scrapes and a Game 5, and that's been a while. And we're enjoying every minute of it. So I think the stage is set. I can barely see Vedius, but I'm sure I'll hear him talk his awesome points. But just before we get into the analysis and what we can look forward to, Vedius, the stories of these two teams have been incredible so far, and they are both so close. Heartbreak and elation so close together, but there can only be one champion.
Yeah, I was convinced that this was a Rogue victory. I thought that, especially looking at Game 3, that this was their series to lose, but Mad has suddenly got the momentum back in behind them, and they've brought it close. They've brought us to the Game 5, and I cannot believe that there's so much on the line. The fact that there are two rookies on both sides that may very well be able to begin the split fresh on the scene to them winning their first split. A lot of veteran talent on either side looking to get their first trophy in Odoamne, Humanoid, Hansama. Like, there's so much on the line for both these teams, and the fact that it's come all the way down to this, we couldn't have asked for a better spring split final.
It's absolutely crazy. I mean, Whippo, what a turnaround we've seen here from a start from Rogue that had those games versus G2 yesterday in the bag. They looked poised, they looked focused, but all of a sudden the Mad Lions have come online in these last two games.
I think Elioya woke up.
Okay.
This guy came to win, and definitely he's in games 3 and 4. I think little bit of a jungle difference showing up. I feel like Inspired hasn't been able to really get anything going, and even though he was grabbing the dragons in the early game, Mad Lions have changed their focus to make sure that when they get to those 3rd and 4th dragons, Rogue hasn't gotten them stacked up.
It's incredible in those last two games, actually, the two new members on the Mad Lions who have done phenomenal work, right? Armut and Elioya. But let's look at a couple of specific matchups alongside that as well. The bot lane. Even though Rogue has lost these last two games, Vedius, Hansama and Trimby are having a fantastic series in the lane. It's just that it doesn't always translate to the end of the game.
I feel like that they have just been getting the better of the 2 versus 2 in pretty much every single game. Hansama and Trimby are definitely stepping up, and you can see the team is largely trying to play through them. They are leaving Odoamne on the weak side. This is nothing too strange, and they are successfully getting advantages. The question is, can they use those advantages to snowball, because Mad is doing the opposite side on the top side of the map.
And at the beginning of the day, we said it is a team fighting meta, so it all starts and ends with the marksman. And even though Rogue has been getting the advantage in lane, they couldn't translate that into wins in the last two games, Whippo. So how do you explain that?
I think it's because Hansama was actually getting focused in the actual team fights, even though Carzzy has had a solid, especially game 3 and 4.
Yes.
I think game 3, it took a while for the Ezreal to get online, but that's because they fell so far behind. But thanks to the great performance from Armut on his Wukong 2 games in a row, he was able to single out either Hansama or Larson.
And that target selection has proved to be so pivotal for the Mad Lions. Let's move on to the mid lane then. Humanoid versus Larson, both with so much to prove. And for now, for me, Humanoid has left the best impression.
He certainly has, especially when you look at Game 3 and Larson honestly dropping the ball with some of his teamfight executions. Humanoid has only been consistent in this series, and he's a player that clearly, when the pressure is on, he steps up. His Orianna has been great. His Twisted Fate was another fantastic performance with how prevalent he's been on the map. And I think that that mid-jungle duo from Mad Lions is getting online, getting active on the map, and that's why we're seeing Mad Lions get those early game leads.
Yeah, and Larson drops the ball, but Humanoid drops the ball, but it's an Orianna. Fantastic. Finally, I hear Ender laughing. Love that. But then let's talk about the top lane. Whippo, our resident top lane expert. Odoamne, weak side king versus an Armut who can also play the weak side, but has elected to go on his signature Wukong in these last two games.
Honestly, Wukong managed to capture multiple kills. Right here, you see it on your screen. Dive level 3, grabs the first blood, manages to find himself a solo kill onto Hansama a little bit later into the game, in between 2 towers. After that, finds himself on multiple flanks of the Wukong, picking off members of Rogue left and right, and in the end of the game, Wukong just seems like it's taking over. Right here, you see it on your screen. Look, what a solo kill.
I think that what we've seen from Mad Lions is fast adaptation and evolution, because coming into playoffs, their strategy was play weak side, play through bot lane, actually get our advantages in the bot lane 2 versus 2. They did the same thing against G2. They realized that that was not working in this series. So coming into game 3, they're like, fine, let's actually pivot our attention up towards the top lane and funnel everything into Armut. And right now, it is paying off. This man is coming up clutch in the team fight.
And Rogue was blue side last game, and they lost that game, and we had the strong picks coming out from Mad Lions, including the Wukong. They're blue side again for this last game. Any predictions or any suggestions? Because now they're not with their backs against the wall, of course, because they're still on match point, as are the Mad Lions. But you have to think about that mental game of coming in and crushing 2 games and then getting crushed 2 games in a row.
Honestly, I think it's really important that they use their bans to take Mad Lions off their comfort.
Yeah.
Like, removing the Wukong might be a change of pace that they need. Even though I don't think it's looked too great, I think this is a moment where as a top laner you have to just take a step back, accept the ego check, and be like, you know what, let's ban Wukong to see if we can throw him off.
I think that momentum is also something that's really in the favor. We see Kaiser flashing over walls, trying to set up engages for his team. I feel like the communication within this team is just go, 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 look for fights. And my big question is, how do Rogue slow the game down? Because when they look their best, it's when they have that good early control in the early game, when they're setting up for their team fights the way that they want them. And I think it's going to like there are too many things to keep track of. But yeah, I think that the top lane picks in particular are going to be huge. How do they control Armut? How do they stop Mad Lions getting these leads? And if they can, then Rogue is in a good position.
So incredibly interesting that we got the full 5 games here, and we still have a game left to be played. And please, you have to indulge me and talk a bit of stories, because there's just such a wealth of them and so much on the line. And we mentioned Elyoya already, who has really been ramping up in those last 2 games. Trimby on the other side, stepping in for a legend himself at the beginning of the year. 2 rookies that have a chance, and only one of them, of course, has a chance to take this trophy home. It's almost incredible. They would join the likes of a Bwipo, of a Perks, of a Huni, but it doesn't happen often, and you just can't discount how much stress that would also put on their shoulders.
Of course, I mean, performing well in the finals is not easy, especially, I mean, for me, I came in and I was practically carried to my win. These guys, they're putting out their 100% and they're pivotal to their team's wins. So actually managing to carry their team to this finals victory will be a huge mark on their career.
When rookies have made it to the LEC final and they've found success, they have become legends within the scene. Many of them have gone all the way on to world finals and have made a name for themselves in Europe. And right now we're seeing the birth of a new rivalry, the birth of new legends of these players. And people will say that we meme it to death, but this is the birth of a new era, and I'm excited to see where these teams will go. Someone's going to win. I can't wait to see.
If you're not allowed to say it right at the precipice of a Game 5 in the finals, when are you allowed to say it, Verius? I mean, all the rookies on a final note, maybe before we go to the break, but also an Odawamne. 7 years in the making. But he might fall 1 game short, or he might push it past the finish line. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It's fantastic. Mad Lions and Rogue have given us such a show in pursuit of this trophy, and it's all going to come down to this Game 5. We'll be right back.